Hey you beautiful people! Last time I painted the M4 in its boring green livery, now it's time to make it look interesting, so let's finish up Little Caesar today, starting with the dark brown paint wash. The whole reason I sprayed on satin varnish was to create a protective layer between the paint job and weathering chemicals. Bonus points for making surface tension work even better with a smoother finish. I'm using a number 2 soft and long bristled brush to apply AK Interactive's dark brown wash for green. This might be the first time using it for green surface and the bottle is almost dried up. The wash is diluted with white spirit from my local hobby shop. I like to work in smaller sections so I can touch up dried up spots with a little white spirit while the rest is drying. It's important to let the wash dry to the touch, as the whole stuff just gets diluted, but we want to have a controlled section of it, not a so-called filter. Slow and steady wins the race, there's no need to rush anything. Now that we have accentuated the detail on this kit, it's time to smother it with pigments and dust washes. I wanted to take a look at which method works better and ended up using both of them for a few reasons. First, they complement each other. Because pigments create a 3D surface, while enamel washes are more easily controlled in places where that's needed. Second, pigments can't be removed without any traces, while enamel washes can. I decided to apply the pigments on the hull for the start, as those parts can more easily be covered with other effects if something goes south. I diluted the pigments in tap water and smeared them on. After a while they dry up and can sort of be removed with an old stiff short bristled brush where needed. This can be used to already set some rain streak effects on the side of the hull using vertical downward strokes. The front of the hull got some cast texture in the build video, which is perfect for sand and dust effects, as all sorts of dry gunk stays in the crevices, making it a perfect opportunity for this project. For the top of the hull and turret I decided to use enamel light dust washes, which are the same color as the pigments, so I'm lucky because I sure as hell did not check them beforehand. The simple reason behind enamel in this case: I have more control and can easily remove them where they flow in places they shouldn't flow. The sides of the hull got the same rain stick treatment, just to take the effect really further. After 2 days of drying I decided to add a few oil stains on the wheels because the pigments just absorbed the pre-created dark wash. I didn't dilute it to make it look really grimy. The next step is to apply rust streaks and stains on the tank. I dared to apply a lot of it because salt water and metal don't really mix well for maintenance plans. I simply dabbed spots of rust enamel effects on previously painted chips and created streak effects with a little white spirit and downward brush strokes. Same thing really as the rain streak marks. The trucks also got a good amount of dust with the enamel effect. Although they are splash effects officially, I used them as a wash. The pigments just settled at the bottom of the bottle and no shaking, stirring or throwing at the wall will help them mix with the fluid on the top. But hey, they are still good for something, so I take it. Just be sure to let them dry for a few days, because I managed to remove some layers from the side of the hull while attaching the tracks. Speaking of attaching them, it was an interesting experience to say the least. One track already had a big crack in it from forming the basing fold for test fitting, so it may be a good idea to follow the instructions and glue them in place while the upper hull is not glued on. I used CA glue since modeling cement doesn't work with painted parts and melt paint. Any sort of super glue will work, but I used one that's runny and applied it with a homemade tool. It's just an old brush handle with a piece of wire glued to it. I used tweezers to push the track in the middle of the upper running gear and glue the track to the wheels piece by piece. It's a good idea to apply clamps while the glue is drying. Since I'm an ape and had to force the tracks in place, some enamel effects were wiped down. I should have waited a few more days for the effect to completely cure. Thankfully it's an easy task to redo rain streaks and add a few more dust and sand spots, so nothing bad happened. I managed to apply the tracks in a reasonable manner, only 1mm of space was between the two ends. This means I could polish the tracks with some graphite since the whole tank looks intact with the tracks applied. You can use metal pigments or metallic paints as well for this effect. The last detail was to give the tools some acrylic rust washes. These are just highly diluted paints. The high pigment count makes them look matte once they are dry, so this is a perfect method for weathering tools in my opinion. And that's it. Little Caesar is finished. It's an awesome kit for the low price it can be bought. The details are quite okay, but some upgrades are necessary in my opinion, such as metal hooks and drilling barrel holes. I can't really fault Zvezda for the tracks, I've seen far worse on Rebel kits in the past. The addition of Russian Lend-Lease decals is a nice touch. Just be sure to glue the model, because the snap fit feature is a big fat lie. And maybe glue the tracks in when the instructions tell you to. If you liked this video, write to us and look up our other stuff on the shown outlets. Thanks for watching and keep us in your sights.